A small action can have a huge impact. Sometimes people think that a trivial and insignificant action does not really matter, but in actuality, it can change somebody else's life. In one point in everyone's lifetime, people realize that they underestimate the power of giving back to their communities. Here is a story about a girl who underestimated the impact of planting trees. It goes like this. Once upon a time, there was a girl who was really excited to find out that she was going to spend spring break in New Orleans, Louisiana to help restore the environment that was destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. Driving for 18 hours felt like an eternity at first, but many air rock bands were formed during the drive, so it did not feel like 1,080 minutes long. Finally, they arrived and she was dying to help with the restoration process of New Orleans. The trip leader began to tell the group that they would use a bright orange shovel called a dibble to dig holes in the swamps and fields and plant cypress trees. These trees were genetically modified to withstand lots of water and floods. The girl grew disappointed because in her mind, she thought that she would be rebuilding homes and schools. Just about anything else sounded better than planting trees. So they all started to work while the hot sun was blazing from above. They got down and dirty, literally down and dirty. A couple of people fell into the marshlands. After about 6 hours of working hard, getting muddy and sweaty, it was finally time to go back to camp and get dinner. As they were packing up, a few locals were walking by, and they stopped for a few minutes to thank them for all of their hard work. The girl's frown slowly turned upside down. The next day, they moved to an area with really dry and hard dirt, so they had to work even harder to dig holes into the ground. Again, the sun was blazing from above, and the volunteers were all sweaty and dirty as they worked. While driving back, they first stopped at a restaurant to grab dinner. The waiter saw how tired and worn out they were, so he asked them what they had been doing. The volunteers told the waiter that they were helping to plant trees, and the waiter was so thankful he told the chefs and other waitresses, and they brought out their famous crayfish for them to eat on the house. And the girl's smile began to grow bigger. The next morning, the volunteers took a break from shoveling. A local man invited them to take a ride down the river on his boat. They saw all the marshlands that were destroyed during the hurricane. They also stopped to visit a memorial for those who lost their lives to Katrina. When they arrived back onto land, the man made a speech and told them about how much he appreciated the volunteer work they've been doing. He even got so emotional that he had tears streaming down his face while he was talking. And the girl could not help but grin from ear to ear while wiping tears from her face. After those days, the next working days meant so much more. Knowing that the lives had been affected by the volunteer work made the girl and volunteers all the more motivated to work even harder to help the environment. At the end of the 5 days, the volunteers had planted over 10,000 cypress trees. Alright, you got me. The girl in the story was actually me. This happened during my spring break of 2011. At first, I really did not think that planting trees would actually mean something. However, that experience changed my opinion, and it also changed the way I view life. I no longer underestimate the little things, and I do not take anything for granted. I think that in today's society, we are so engrossed with new gadgets, cars, and money that we forget to stop and appreciate all the little aspects of life. Many people do not realize the significance of small actions. In the near future, people can help the community by reducing, reusing, and recycling, walking or taking public transportation, donating clothes to shelters, getting people out of slums, improving the education system and employment rate, and many other options. To work towards a better community, I will try to do more volunteer work and community service. Even if the action may seem small, I know that it does have a big effect in the long run. The world would be a much better place, a place of peace and justice, if everyone did not take things for granted and took a minute out of their busy daily lives to help give back to the community.